We are now in Zunyi City in the Guizhou province of China, and we're actually at the exact location where the Zunyi Conference took place, which was essentially the consolidation of power for Mao Zedong for the first time for the military and political leadership of the Communist Party of China. Previously, the military command was led by Guizhou and by duran and this band of 28 Soviet proxies, essentially, and they were pursuing a path of conventional warfare against the Kuomintang led by Chiang Kai-shek, which was proving disastrous. By January of 1935, the Communist Party, the Red Army, had lost half of its troops. And that was just at the very start of this whole operation. Mao's rise came after his sharp critique of this military leadership. He pursued a different path of warfare, that being guerrilla warfare. He's known as the GOAT of guerrilla warfare, the greatest of all time. All the resistance movements that you know today, that you're watching fight all across the world, they learned from Mao Zedong, and they learned from his military thought, which led to the eventual victory, the numerous victories. Over 600 battles were fought in the Long March. Mao did not become the chairman of the party at this time, but it was when he consolidated his military power. He was made a member of the standing committee, and Guizhou and duran were essentially sidelined from any sort of supreme military command. So we are in the exact location now where this meeting took place. The meeting lasted 3 days, and we're going to take a look through the museum and through this site to understand and learn more about what took place here and how it changed the course of history and secured the eventual victory of the Chinese Communist Party and ultimately modern China today. All right, so now we're walking into where the meeting actually took place, so you guys are gonna see the details. They converted it into a museum. This actually used to be the home of a general Kuomintang KMT military official, and then the Red Army captured it. A bunch of Red Army military leadership, Supreme Military Command like Zhao Enlai, he lived here. So behind me is a big map of why the Long March really kicked off. We see right here, this is the Jiangxi Soviet. It's on the Fujian border region. It was the last major Red Army stronghold that the Kuomintang forces aimed to capture, which is why you can see up top here, they sent about 1 million men to go and capture Guangzhou, which is a northern city, but leaves the capital completely exposed. The Red Army sent some personnel up to go fight. They sent about 30,000 men to go up and fight and try to protect Guangzhou, but they ultimately failed because they were still following the Soviet war strategy of conventional conflicts rather than guerrilla warfare. When they realized that this was exposed, it led to the idea that something needs to be done. We need to do a tactical retreat, and that is what started the Long March and eventually what led to the solidification of Mao's military approach of guerrilla warfare. As the Red Army was on their Long March, they would leave political slogans and essentially like commandments of the party as they went through the cities to mobilize the masses to support their efforts in the face of the overwhelming oppression and feudal society that they had previously lived under. So these are the originals behind us that you can see. It's almost like a graffiti, a political graffiti that they would leave behind as they marched through. And by the way, there's no small amount that they marched. It's the equivalent of marching from New York City to Seattle and all the way back to New York City again. That's how long they marched. It was about 10,000 kilometers. So you can imagine how impactful messages like this that they were leaving behind were for the people all across the regions, 11 different provinces that they were marching in. here is where the Long March began. You follow that red line, that's the line that the Red Army took on their march, which led for over 360 days. Initially, they had 110,000 troops. By the end of the campaign, by the end of the Long March, that had dwindled down to about 10 to 8,000 personnel. You can see some heavier artillery. Obviously, there's rifles up there. The Red Army used a lot of those, and they were very accessible. But some of the heavy artillery, this is actually captured Kuomintang artillery. It was very difficult for the Soviet Union to supply any sort of heavier artillery across the border, which was controlled by the nationalist forces. So they relied on capturing equipment a lot of the time to supply their needs. Oddly enough, if you actually look in close, I don't want to get banned on YouTube, but you can actually see German swastikas on these artillery pieces because the Kuomintang was getting a lot of their arms, a lot of their artillery from Nazi Germany at the time. So that's why you see that on there if you can spot it. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 different blockades that they encountered along the way. This blockade right here along the river was the bloodiest of all. They lost about half their personnel in that blockade. And at this point in the Long March, it is what prompted the Zunyi meeting to take place. So behind me, you can see the list of all Red Army senior military command, which were lost in this one single battle. Okay, something needed to change. This became the defining moment of the conventional Soviet military approach throughout the Long March that eventually, after this, which you can see depicted in this painting, the Xiangcheng River battle came to a screeching halt. Tides really changed after Mao took control. Here on the wall we have the participants of the Zunyi Conference, at least those who were kept in good favor after the conference. And you can see they all reached very senior military and political ranks after 1949. And then on these walls, you can see, hundreds, if not thousands, I don't know the exact amounts, but the personnel who were on the Long March, who after 1949 also achieved, senior military posts within communist China. So these are heroes, to say the least, people who accomplished one of the greatest human feats in all of history. We are celebrating the 91st anniversary of the Zunyi Conference. Coming here and experiencing it, seeing all the battle maps, seeing how they lived, really changes your perspective on all of it. And I can't recommend enough that if you do come to China, you definitely need to come here. You definitely need to visit this place and understand what this means for China, what this means for the patriots here, and what it means for China moving forward if anyone ever tries to threaten these great people again. To think that these people walked from the equivalent of New York City to Seattle and all the way back to New York City through the most difficult terrain you could ever imagine, and the entire time they're getting chased by these KMT forces, which are armed by outside agitators. They were initially trying to fight a conventional war. Halfway through, after losing half their men and women, they had to change their tactics and pursue guerrilla warfare, the people's war, if you will. And that proved to be successful. And I think it's a defining moment in China's history, not because this is just a feat of human will, the likes of which can be put alongside the Battle of Karbala and Imam Hussein, and the Red Army's liberation of Berlin in the Great Patriotic War, but also because for China, this was the first time that we saw communism with Chinese characteristics fundamentally embraced in a way that changed the course of this country and led to the creation of modern China. We're here outside of the local community center in the old city of Zunyi. You can see they're serving berries here. These things are so tasty. I tried some of them. but we're going to be going around the, oh, xixi. We're about to meet with some local party cadres, some veterans from the People's Liberation Army. So this should be very interesting. We're going to get to ask them a few questions and learn from them, because that's why we're here. That's what's so important, learning about the Long March, the history, how China became China, and how we can maybe fix some of the problems in our own country, God willing. I think that everyone should learn from China, and I think that it starts with here, where it all began. What's the biggest lesson that you say that you may have learned in your lives, politically speaking, or in the military, that you'd hope to pass on to the next generation to safeguard the advances that were made for China in your lives?
I was born before the founding of New China, which means my earliest memories are from a time before the country as we know it today even existed. And it is quite remarkable to think about how much has changed since then. Then I'll put it this way. I was born before the founding of New China. My birthplace is just ahead, 50 meters away. Just ahead, 50 meters away. At that time, in Guizhou dialect, our family were truly ganren. Ganren, what does that mean? It means poor people. My family was completely poor. Back then, we suffered under the oppression of landlords and local tyrants. It wasn't until the founding of New China in 1949 that we truly stood up and became masters of our own lives. At that time, I finally started school right over there at Wenhua Primary School. That's where I went.
So school.
Later, I attended Zunyi No. 4 Middle School. There was no economic support back then. The whole of Zunyi had no economic pillars. The people's lives were very difficult, extremely difficult. Truly, it was a struggle to find the next meal, let alone eat meat. We only had meat during the New Year or other festivals. But now we can really see that Zunyi's development is actually quite impressive, especially for Guizhou. We have a strong industrial sector, a solid foundation in agriculture, and a growing service sector. All kinds of industries are emerging, developing, and truly thriving. Especially after 1935, our party was able to turn things around here in Zunyi. The Red Army's long march was in 35. We turned danger into safety. So Zunyi is truly a land of revolutionary heritage. From here, our party marched toward victory. After 8 years of resistance against Japan and 4 years of liberation war, the People's Republic of China was founded. Zunyi has also seen great development. Look at it now. Zunyi's urban area has a population of 2 million. All our industries are constantly growing. Life is truly thriving, you could say, changing for the better every single day. Just look at what we wear. Before liberation, or in the early days after, even in those early years, what we wore, we couldn't wear this. It was all patches, a patch here, a patch there, patches everywhere, just tattered. A hole here, a hole there. But look at what we wear now. Take a look, even the folks out in the countryside, no one wears patched up clothes anymore. Everyone is dressed so nicely. The young ladies today, the young girls, they dress up so beautifully, don't they? I used to go to high school at No. 4 Middle School, Zunyi No. 4 Middle School. Back then, I wanted to go to college, Xi'an Jiaotong University, the Railway Institute, the Post and Telecommunications Institute. I wanted to go to college. After I started my senior year, it was 1961. The situation in Southeast Asia and Vietnam was very tense. We had to go support Vietnam. So at that time, I joined the army. I gave up my studies to join the military. In the army, I didn't get to go to college. I stayed in the military for over 10 years, guarding the border. Then I served as a surveyor, then as a combat engineer, and then I went to the political department to do political work. So these years of education and training from the military and the party allowed me to grow gradually and understand many principles. In my life, this has been extremely precious and very rare. I have been a member of the Communist Party of China for 60 years. So I am grateful to our Communist Party and grateful to our People's Army for the training and education they gave me, which allowed me to grow. I've been educated and nurtured by the party for many years, for decades. So now, as the people of Zunyi, as the proud people of Zunyi, in January of 1935, The Communist Party of China was experiencing its most difficult and challenging time. The Zunyi Conference was held in Zunyi, which saved the Red Army, saved the party, and saved the Chinese Revolution. The spirit of the Long March, the spirit of the Zunyi Conference, let's take a look. Stay firm in faith, uphold the truth, remain independent, and stay united. This is the spirit of the Zunyi Conference and also the spirit of the Long March. What should our generation do? We must pass on the revolutionary legacy. Telling the Zunyi story well is our responsibility and our duty. It is, without question, our absolute and definite obligation. We must pass on the spirit of the Long March from generation to generation. Today, our party has traveled on a remarkable journey through 105 years. The People's Republic of China has been established for over 70 years. So let's reflect and never forget our roots. How did we get here? How did our party make this journey? To forge ahead on this new journey, we need the spirit of the Long March. So what is the spirit of the Long March today? It is the new Long March. It is the Long March of socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era. We, the Chinese people, under the leadership of the Communist Party, must achieve our great goal, the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. This is our Long March. We must carry it on, generation after generation, undeterred by hardships, to reach our great goal. That's it. Under the leadership of the Party Central Committee, with President Xi Jinping at its core, the 2 sessions have now been convened, which has outlined the 15th five-year plan for us. At the same time, by 2035, we aim to achieve basic Chinese-style modernization. Now, this depends on all of us uniting as one, under the leadership of the Party Central Committee, to overcome all difficulties and achieve our great goal. It depends on us working hard with all our might. Even though we've made great progress in science and technology, industry and agriculture in all aspects, it's still not enough. We must redouble our efforts to achieve our modernization and go global. Thank you.
Under the correct leadership of the great, glorious and correct Communist Party of China, starting from nothing, the People's Happiness Index has been constantly rising, national defense, living standards and defense technology have been continuously growing. It has enabled us to go from nothing to something, from weak to strong, especially through the efforts of the Party Central Committee under the leadership of President Xi Jinping. The people's living standards have been continuously improving and national defense, science and technology have been flourishing, making us a world power. This is inseparable from the great, glorious and correct decisions of our Communist Party of China and the joint efforts of all the Chinese people. I feel that going forward we have a responsibility and, even more importantly, an obligation indeed. We must educate the next generation to study hard and keep moving forward. We need to raise our standard of living, the people's standard of living, to new heights. Let our national defense and our technology grow even stronger and lead the way in the world. That's all I have to say.
The whole world is just one global village. Since you are also Communist Party members, we are all one family. In the future, we must all work together with one heart to make the whole world better, greater, and move towards more prosperity, so that the people of the world can be wealthier. Thank you.
It was a special moment. It was a special moment. There's so much, honestly, in this city in Zunyi, there's so much cool stuff. We were walking over here, like, oh, we want to do this, we want to see, stop there. And we got here, and it was the best thing by far. It was so cool.
And all the kids are so interested in us stopping, saying hello. You know, it's just
hello.
Hello.
Ni hao.
Hello.
Ni hao. Ni hao.
The kids are so curious, and it's so wonderful to see. Really wonderful.
There's a primary school right over there, and one of the comrades was telling us that he had nothing in his life. Everyone here had practically nothing. Didn't know where their next meal was, had no clothes, you name it. And then after the revolution and the formation of the People's Republic of China, they had so much. I mean, obviously they have so much now, but things immediately changed. They had primary school, they had high school, they had military service, they had university. and we were hearing the stories of
They had healthcare. They had, you name it. I mean, they had land reform. First and foremost, they had land reform. They didn't have land. They didn't own land. The landlords. Remember, he was saying the landlords oppressed their family, brutalized them, tortured them. And he was saying that after, with land reform, they had their own land. They could grow their own things. People could feed themselves, and then they could feed one another. And that's amazing. That's part of the enormous success of the Chinese Revolution, was land reform, to give hundreds of millions of people land that they never had before. That was a tremendous success. And those who complain in the West about China and the Communist Party is because their ancestors lost their land, and they lost out on their bourgeois lifestyles and their capitalist lifestyles. But the people here, they were able to advance in ways that wasn't seen for millennia in China. And of course, that's why they put their trust in the party and in the future of the Chinese state.
Life-changing experiences on every block here.
For sure.
So we're in the historic city. We're going to keep walking around and check it out and see what's going on these other streets here. But this is the community center. What an honor to meet the cadre of the party.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now we're walking on the old city streets, going to find some food. Apparently there's like really great food here. They love Nelly.
Of course they love Nelly.
They took pictures of Nelly. They were so excited. They were more excited to take pictures of Nelly than anything the whole day.
Nelly's the best.
Very, very kind, warm, welcoming place, Zunyi City.
Of course. People often think that Chinese people are cold, like Russian people. People are always like, oh, they're cold. They're cold people. But Chinese people, they are very warm.
They're saying there's a famous food street, and they were 100% correct, because look at this, it's pretty crazy. I don't even know what most of this stuff is. Usually you can kind of guess and look at it and be like, oh, I think it's a tofu or a duck or chicken or something, but a lot of this you can't even tell. That last place had nothing but chicken feet. And that one, all chicken feet. Oh, these look pretty tasty. So we got the barbecue here. We got some chicken feet. We got some pork. We got some, here we got some blood. We got some potatoes. We got some veggies. And beef in there? Is there beef? Looks like it's all chicken. So it's all different parts of the chicken.
Yeah.
Who gets the head? This is the local Guizhou drink. It's like a moonshine, Somongon. Very popular. It's from here. It's from this region. Nelly, Chris, Dennis, let's all give it a go.
Ganbei.
That's moonshine. This chicken looks very good. Let's give it a go. Oh, spicy, but very tasty. They say that Guizhou is the spiciest province in all of China. So we were walking on the streets of the old town here in Zunyi, and I saw this bright green store. I had to come over because this is the matcha store. Okay, so I got some ice cream here. It's super tasty. We got some like cookies, and a lot of people don't know this. At least in America, they associate matcha with Japan. I guess a lot of things I've learned are associated with Japan are actually Chinese, but bulk of the world's matcha actually comes from here in the Guizhou province. They're the #1 matcha green tea exporter on the entire planet. Another notable thing, considering it used to be one of the poorest places in all of China, and now it's, you know, like the #1 exporter of everyone's favorite drink. So they've got tons of matcha products here. There's like a matcha place on every single block. Take a look inside, you can see how much different product they have. It's crazy. Like each one of those things on the wall is a different matcha product. I had to try it. Very tasty. Does not disappoint. It's very vibrant here. I didn't think it was going to be like vibrant, this many people. I'd like to thank my good friends at China Not Just Travel for inviting me out on this amazing visit to Guizhou, China. And if you would like to visit Guizhou or any other place in China for that matter, click the link at the top of the description, ChinaNotJustTravel.com. They are the best in the business. I've known them for years. I have, traveled the world with the crew who leads China Not Just Travel, and now I'm so thankful that I was able to visit China with them one more time, but this time we went out of Shanghai, obviously all across Guizhou. You're going to see how amazing this trip was, in the upcoming vlogs that I'm going to be uploading. They offer a myriad of amazing trips. They have an iconic China trip, a wellness trip, Red China, Kung Fu China. They have a China summer school, and they even have like business opportunities. You can go on an AI trip in China. They literally know everyone in China, and they are there to help you. So you can go to ChinaNotJustTravel.com, inquire on their website, click the Inquire Now button if you have any questions, you have ideas as to what you might want to see in China. They're going to give you the 101, answer anything you might have questions about, and walk you through the fundamentals of traveling in China. And while you're there, they're going to be with you and give you an experience that you will never forget. I recommend everyone travel to China at least once in their life. But the truth is, if you travel once to China, you're going to want to go back many more times. So ChinaNotJustTravel.com. Thank you so much for having me. And I recommend that you all take a visit to China too. And there's no one else to do it with but China Not Just Travel.